So worship for me is a pouring exchange. I pour out to God and he pours into me.
Oh,
And that's what it is.
that's what it is.
That's what it is.
Ah, look at that. So simple. It ain't deep.
Exactly. Just make it deep.
Right. Let's do this. Let's get into it.
We are here for you. Come and do what you do. We are here for you. Come and do what you do. Set our hearts on you. Come and do what you do. Oh, we need a more. We need a more. Oh, we do what you do. Oh, yeah. Bodies are still being raised. Giants are still being slain. Oh, God, we believe it. Yes, we can see it. That wonders are still what you do. Oh, we're here for you. Come and do what only you can do. We're here for you. Come and do what only you can do. Set our hearts on you, God. Come on and do what you do. We need it, God. We need a move. Oh, God, we need a move today. We're standing in the need of a move. Oh, God. Miracles happen when you move. Healing is coming in this room. And miracles happen when you move. Heaven is coming. Heaven is coming in. Miracles happen when you move. Healing is coming in this room. Heaven, we need you now. Now, we need you right now. Miracles, signs, wonders. Miracles, signs, wonders. Miracles, signs, and wonders happen when you move. Heaven is coming. This is a mover. This is the mover. This is the mover. We live to worship you. There's nobody like you. There's nobody like you. There's nobody like you. This is the mover. God, we stand with our arms outstretched. This is God, we receive your move today. Whatever you want to do, God, we bless you. God, we worship you. This is the move today. It is right now. It is right now. It is right now. Worship is where it is. Worship is where it is. Yes, God. We are here for you. Come on, God. Do what you do. We are here for you. Come on, God. Do what you do. Set our hearts on you. Yeah.
Come and do what you do.
We need,
We need
we need, we need
oh, every day,
every moment, every second, every minute, every hour, every moment, every second, every minute, every hour, every hour, every moment. Oh, every hour,
we're standing in the need. And this moment is a move.
moment is the move.
This moment is a move. Oh,
Moment is the move.
healing is right now. Ways are made right now. This is right now, oh God, this is whatever you need. This is the most. Ooh.
You can't.
Hey, good Sunday morning. How y'all doing today? Hopefully everybody is s- feeling as upbeat and as powerful and as strong as you possibly can. This is the experience of Alkebulan Inspirational Sunday, so we welcome you back to Alkebulan Inspirational Sunday. I know it's been a second. When I tell you God has had me on a journey of the rise of the African for the last month. Yes, for the whole month. And I don't know if anybody know that the month of September is my birthday month, and I didn't take off. It was the fact that God had me through in that entire month going through so much change that he was metamorphosed. I was being metamorphosed to a whole new experience of who I am, which is the rise of the African within me. And so the journey I was on, the things I was going through, the meditations, the prayers, the traveling. Y'all know I drove 40 hours. If you don't, if you're watching, 40 hours, 2,800 miles across country so that I can set my daughter up in grad school. Came back for my nieces to set up to do an event for my niece's 18th birthday party. Then I got to do a rites of passage for Keebaland young brother Malik. One love. Mwah. Then I got a call from a family in Houston who asked me to fly out to Detroit to do a homegoing ceremony. Yes, it's been the rise of the African for the month of September. And by the end of that month, I was still in Detroit and I had my eyes closed. I was waking up, not opening my eyes though. And I was able to see the vision of where God is taking me, the experience of where He's taken my awareness of the African in me and the God in me, and the things that I'm supposed to be doing. I come home this week. I'm emotionally, still emotional behind going to Detroit, and it was one of the best and greatest experiences, homegoing ceremonies that I have really been a part of. Deeply appreciative to the family. One love to the Cheatham family, and this goes out to the memory of your mom today, because at that being the culmination of a lot of things and me coming home and meditating, yeah, we're about to move. into a whole new direction. Not a new direction, but adding on to what we're already been doing. How's that? Yeah, we're ready to add on to the rise of the African, not just within me, but within you too. And that's where we are. One of the things that we're going to also acknowledge today is the fact that it is my church's 69th anniversary, I believe. 69th anniversary. So 4 cities, 5,000 acres of farmland later, we still pulling it together, and we are working on something called Bilakuta, and that is Church Without Borders. Of course, we're already doing it. World of Alkebulan has been doing it, and COVID has most churches doing it, and now they're going to embrace it as an experience that they cannot live without. And so they're going to build on that. I'm going to try to sit on the board, or not the board, but just the working body, and lend my talents the best I can to reach as many people as we possibly can, because it's not easy doing what we do, right? What you see and how it comes. So I want to be grateful, also show my gratitude to the Pan African Orthodox Christian Church, because it's what woke me up. When you talk about having a woke generation, I thought I was woke, but I was actually still seeing through these eyes, right? And then I could have been just seeing with one eye. And my experiences through the PAOCC open up that third eye. Definitely opening up that third eye. And so grateful to it and everything that we do here. So we want to always make sure that if you're watching us on uh, Facebook, please, you know, like, comment, share, right? Like, comment, share. And I'm going to ask that because uh, real talk, because during a stint of something that happened in the beginning of the summer, when you become revolutionary, man, they clock your words. And so without saying the word, where they don't get mad at me. I've been in jail for the whole summer. They took my algorithm and tore it down because I asked somebody to in the arm for their birthday, and they said that was inciting violence. Wow. After that, everything that I've ever posted for the last 8 years was in deep scrutiny. So we're going to ask you to like, comment, and share to rebuild this algorithm and let them know that you cannot stop. The revolution may not be televised, but it will definitely be digital. And so if you're watching us on YouTube, we're going to ask you to hit subscribe, click the notification bell, so that as we get back to our regular scheduled programming, and we're going to go all out to make sure that we rebuild this algorithm the right way. But so that you'll always notified at the things that we're doing and how we're growing and developing, and be a part of the rise of the African around the globe. All right. And that's what we're working on. We want to let everybody know that everything that we do here at the World of Keebaland is connected to an ancient covenant promise that we have with God. It said, I will be your God if you will be my people. And that's the first revolutionary conversation that you start with, that covenant promise that God says, I will be your God if you will be my people, not person, not individual, people. That means that we as a group affect how God encounters us. We as a group, one person can make it by themselves, yeah, and you go a short way. But we go as a group, we go far. Let's change the planet. And that's my goal. I don't know what anybody else's goal is. My goal is literally to change the planet behind this. And I lean on it. Definitely. And so we know that everything that we do has an issue, deals with relationships. Welcome back, right? Relationships, your connectedness. And the deeper your connection, the stronger the bond, the stronger the divine experience you'll have in your life. Right. And so it's your relationship with God, your relationship with your ancestors, your relationship with your family, your friends, cousins, everybody, the people you see daily, your relationship with yourself, the relationship we have with the land. Because how you going to pollute what God gave us to exist in? Destroy what God gave us to exist in. And so it's always important to lean on relationships, and we always want to always know, our word continuity, connectedness, something that means something. It connects to the here, here, here. We have this is a continuous struggle, right? So those who have gone before, we're connected to them. We're connected to everybody who is struggling for human rights today, and we're preparing the world for those who will come after. Everything in our history is a stepping stone for learning something greater. Continuity. Don't separate yourself from your culture, your heritage, your tradition. Continuity. It builds on who we are, and it builds on our understanding. Continuity. Right. Coming out of a vacuum where it's just you'll lack the depth of wisdom. But here we're dealing with continuity. Yes. And so today, through the experience of everything that I went through um during the month of September, where I was absent, right? Everything I went through had me thinking about, okay, so how would I come back? And so, of course, not nothing spectacular to say boom, but there's something good coming soon. Y'all be ready, on the lookout. It'll be something that's either be daily or weekly. I'm still working on it. I'll be designing it today. I'm speaking on it, designing it today. Soft launch. It's either going to be tomorrow or Tuesday. Soft launch. We'll see it. Right. And I got to speak it, continuity. Why? Because of my relationship with God, my relationship with my ancestors, my relationship with my church community, in terms of the responsibility bestowed upon me by God, and that they acknowledge. You feel me? Some people get responsibilities bestowed by the community that is not bestowed by God, and they don't do well. Right? Yeah, that's when you know it's all ego. But when it's given to you by God, okay, he's Walamu. Get a different experience. Continuity is about relationships. So today I wanted to talk about the topic of how to experience God daily. What? How to experience God daily. And this was riding on me, because everything that I was going through the month of September, my birth month, was giving me a deeper awareness of who I am in God. And I tell you, a lot of change. It was deep transformation and a whole lot of change that threw me completely off. I was off completely. One love, and one person I would always talk to, her name is Adrienne, and I was like, yeah, I'm not in my flow. Not even in my flow. I called the past. I was like, dude, yeah, things are not just, it ain't I ain't popping the way it was popping, because God was having me in my transformation stage, and I had to always focus on my experience in God daily. And so, how do you do that? And that's important, to learn how you do it, because sometimes we go through things in our life where we asking questions. Is God with me? Am I having a bad experience because I'm a bad person, or what's going on? Am I by myself? Do I not have no spiritual support? Why are things so hard? How could God let this happen? Yeah, sometimes it ain't this awarenesses. How to experience God on a regular basis despite your circumstance, despite your situation, despite the climate of the world. Woo! That was a heavy one for me. The climate, when they went after children this year, in that school in Texas, I was way off. I've been off. Wow. And you had to find a way to experience God daily. And so in this how to experience God daily, I sat down and said the best way I learned about it. When I learned about it initially, I said, I'm going to take it back to my initial understanding and see if there's another level of understanding for me, and another level of understanding that I could teach a how to. I'm going to give you something I always give you a vitamin that you could take away, but we're going to break this down in 4 steps. We're going to break this down in 4 steps. And in breaking it down in 4 steps, I want to sit down and say, hey, I'm going to take you to the story that helped me understand it. Story of David. What? The story of David. And I love David because David had a level of authority in God at a young age. A level of authority in God at a young age. Ain't that something? Because they're trying to have our youth wait until you 18, wait until you 21, do what I tell you. Ain't nothing wrong with doing what your parents tell you, but you don't have to wait until you're grown to have a deep understanding in God where you affect the lives around you. Right. So in that space, and I want to give you an image of Chocolate David. Ain't no, trust me, it's a little African brother in the fields of Africa, right? Israel, in the heart of Africa, and going through life experiences. At first, David was a part of people Israel was nomadic. So they just roaming. Then when they had to settle in particular areas, they became agriculturalists, farmers, right? And so in that space, David, the youngest of 8 brothers, you know what his daily chores were? His daily chores was herding sheep. And understand this, because we always hear about eagles, Old Testament eagles. We hear about mountains. We hear about rivers, seas, sheep. Why? Because Israel moved from nomads where they used to see eagles. They used to see mountains and valleys. And so a lot of times they would see things, they would relate those things that they saw, valley of the dry bones. They would relate those things that they saw to their experience in God. Everyday life was related to their experience in God. And so David, his chore was herding sheep. Ain't that something? And now, why would you have the youngest of 8 herding the sheep? Why? Because sheep don't bite you. Sheep don't fight you. Sheep, they might stray away to try to get food, but they will listen to the dominant energy. They will obey the dominant energy. So all he had to do was walk them, feed them, water them, let them know who he was. Wait, guide them, right? Keep them from harm. That's what a sheep herder does. If you ever look at, you can YouTube it, ever look at them shaving the wool off a sheep, they just hold a sheep. It's like you sitting in a chair cutting hair. They might not like it, they squirm, but they can't really fight you. So it takes somebody to lead the sheep to a life experience of being good sheep. Now, how do you know you're good? The sheep are doing well. Why? By the good shepherd. Okay. Y'all see this coming? Adults who understand the analogies. Yeah. Begin to have these conversations later, because there's a lot of lessons in today's lesson. There's a lot of particular stories and lessons that you can pick apart today, because this is big. But we going to get down to the 4 steps. 4 steps, right? But I want you to understand the experience that David had in the midst of his brothers being great. Now, there was a war where the Palestinians was coming and they were taking over Israel. And, you know the story of David and Goliath stepped out and said, look, we ain't got to have a war where we kill everybody. We don't even have to do that. What we can do, though, is your strongest can fight me. And if I beat you, we become, we'll listen to you. But we win, yeah, you listen to us. Control, power, domination over each other. Human rights, no man should fight over no man for control. But this wasn't that it. Now, in the experience, David went to take some food and lunch to his bigger brothers bigger three brothers who were fighting on the battlefield. Yes, he had left. He was doing his chores, tending to the sheep, and left to help his brothers. Now, how important when we talk about sheep, and we talk about David, and we talk about using your everyday life experiences to acknowledge God. David did that so well. When David became king, David wrote something called the 23rd Psalm. Now, David being the king, or the sheep herder, the shepherd over the sheep in his family. The shepherd over the sheep in his family. And then after the war with Goliath, slowly down the road, David slowly becomes anointed king. Right? He becomes anointed king. Why? Because they went to go fight Goliath. Every man was particularly scared. David said, wait a minute. How could you be scared? I had that scripture, and it's not. Do I have it? Yeah, I have it. Right? He said, how could you be scared? Wait, you come at me with the sword, because he's facing Goliath now, with a sword, a spear, and a shield. And I'm going to come with you with one thing. I'm going to come with you with the Lord of the heaven and the earth. The army. I'm going to come with you. You're going against the army of Israel, the God of Israel. What? Who can defy my God? So I'm going to get 5 smooth stones, and I'm going to fight you with a rock and a slingshot. Because they put on David the armor that all the army was wearing. Now, David was like, wait a minute, this wasn't proven. I've never fought in this. I don't know nothing about this. Take this off. So he took it off. He said, I'm going to do what God had showed me to do while I was doing my, wait, let me get it. While I was doing my chores. When a lion and a bear came to take my sheep, I'm going to tell you how and he grabbed the sheep, and he taking the sheep. I get me a rock, spit it, swap out. I bust him in the head. You bust a lion in the head, whap out. With a rock, smooth stone coming at the speed of less than a bullet, but it's like a bullet. Bust him in the eye. That's a whole different lion. That's a whole different bear. You got to hit him in the right spot, because if you hit him in the wrong spot, he ain't going to feel it. He's going to keep coming. But you got to have direct aim to what? Protect the sheep. And so what he said was, in God, I protect the sheep. God gave me this responsibility, and I'm going to do this responsibility to the best I can in God and protect what I can in God. And that's exactly what he did. So when he went up against anything else, he says, wait a minute, you're going against the armies of the God of Israel. You can't beat the armies that believe in the God of our God. You can't do that. And so there's nothing to fear. If God needs me to win on his behalf, I'm going to win on God's behalf, because he's going to work through me to win. So there's no need. He was like, man, who is this uncircumcised Philistine? Where we have the covenant sign of God. We worship as a people with God. I'm not scared of anything or anyone when it comes to me surrendering in God according to how I know myself. Get that? In God. How I know myself to exist in God. How I know my people to exist in God. Get it? And so he conquers. He puts this in there, slings a shot. Goliath dies. The present king dotes on David. David slowly becomes anointed the king of Israel. Hence, he's been considered the best king that Israel has ever had, King David. Again, his belief did not start when he was an adult. It started in the midst of him performing his daily chores. He saw God in his entire experience. When you are a shepherd of sheep, they're going to listen to you. Either you're going to protect them or not, feed them or not, guide them or not. Their lives depend on you, and they will listen to you when you lead them right. And so that's when David, even in his greatest experience as an adult, begins to write the 23rd Psalm. Again, there are a lot of vitamins in this, so y'all get it. We ain't get to the 4 parts yet, but I'm building to it. So y'all get ready, parents. Y'all can take notes so y'all can have these conversations with your kids later. The Lord is my shepherd. He had to ask himself, I'm the shepherd of these sheep, or who's the shepherd of me? How am I getting through my experience in life daily? The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want, meaning that I have no need. Why? Because I make sure the sheep are taken care of. God is making sure that I am taken care of. I am God's sheep. He's my shepherd. He make me lie down in green pastures. And this could be a lesson all by itself. 23rd Psalm, you guys. Y'all get it, learn it, know it, feel it, live it, put it that way. I'd rather you live it. If you don't know it, I'd rather you live it. Understand it and live it. Don't memorize it. We don't want to memorize. We want it to be ingrained in our life experience. Right? He leadeth me amongst still waters, meaning that the sheep had to drink. So he would always take them to a mild lake where the current wasn't hard and it wouldn't drag the sheep down the river or anything. Still waters. Yo, y'all drink a little bit. Get your thirst quenched. Why? Because we need water. Animals need water. You want to find water if you lost in the jungle? Follow an animal. They're going to go to water. You got to hide because you don't want them to eat you. But follow somebody, an animal. An animal's going to lead you to water. Going to lead you to drink. He restoreth my soul, because when you walking in the sun, sheep is moving. You just heard them. You get tired. And so it's restored. Leadeth me in paths of righteousness, meaning that I'm going to take you to, I got to trust you. You're taking me down the location, or you're leading me to the right places. When you're talking, this is sheep, voices of sheep talking to David. So David is realizing that God has been leading him the same way he leads the sheep. Again, his understanding grew according to what he was experiencing daily. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. Thou art with me. Stop right there. Why? Because he had to lead the sheep. Bears, tigers, lions, wolves eat sheep because sheep don't fight. Sheep don't bite. That's easy food. And so what happens? Yeah, wait, let me see. Easy food. You ever had lamb? Good eats. Good eats. And said, I'm not scared. Yeah, when I roam, I walk through the valley of the shadow of death with these sheep. I fear no evil. Why? Because thy rod and thy staff comfort me. A sheep herder walks with a rod or a staff to move something, hit something, not nudge him. If you got to swing it as a defense, it's there. Why? So the rod and staff that he walked with every day, he equated that to God, the invisible presence, but ever presence of God with him on a regular basis. Thou preparest a table before thine enemies. Wow. The lions can come, the tigers and the wolves can come, but guess what? I can sit and eat amongst them, thinking you coming against me. You can't, because I'm protected. So when I stop to eat, I'm eating. So you're going to watch me eat, and you're going to watch me handle and take care of my sheep. Why? Because you can't come this way. I'm not worried about you. Thou anointeth my head with oil, my cup runneth over, meaning my life is full of God. Those sheep worried for nothing. The sheep in David. David said, I literally worry for nothing. As he reflects on his childhood writing the 23rd Psalm. God was in his everyday experience, and he wrote the most, recited verse in the Bible. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. Why? That's how sheep feel. When you have a real sheep herder, a shepherd, when you have the good shepherd. Let's go. When you have the good shepherd, and the good shepherd is doing all it needs for the sheep to feel whole, the sheep live in a state where they will always know the shepherd's voice. And if he teaches them a command, left, right, stop, whatever it is, 1, 2, 3, could be turn right, could be turn left. You could whistle and tell the dog, if you got a dog helping you herd the sheep, and the dog is helping to move the sheep. And the sheep know that wherever you're moving us, our life will be full. This is exactly as he reminisced in the space where he's sitting on a throne, where he's the king of Israel. He's reminiscing on his childhood journeys where he knew God was with him. And then he makes the decision, like the sheep never really runs away from. They stray away because they looking, hey, sheep, because they sheep. Hey, don't stray. Get back over here. He said, I'm never straying. I will always dwell in the house of the Lord. I'm always there. Now that's the 23rd Psalm. He knew God. He was able to write that by viewing and taking an analyzed look at his daily journey and how God, his what he was doing in life resembled what God was doing with him. Get that. Get that. So when we talk about this in terms of getting into how to experience, let's get it, God daily, how to experience that. Because I seen some lions this past month. I seen some wolves. I seen some bears that had me thinking, wait a minute. Am I by myself? Is God with me? And I had to think about it. Wait, hold up. My faith. Not my faith, but my knowing. My knowing is deeper. And so the first thing that you have to do is understand that God is. The first step is knowing that God is. Step one. Knowing that God is. Sometimes when we question it, no, without a shadow of a doubt, I know God is. There is nothing nobody can tell me. There's a lot of people, I don't believe in God. Okay. Prove to me that he exists. I'd rather say this. Prove to me that he doesn't. Because I know what I know. And there's nothing that you can, and I'm not here to prove that to you. You're the one who's atheist. If you don't want to believe in God, that's your right. Everybody has the power of free will. But I know God exists. It's not a thought. And as I break it down today, your knowing will get even stronger. But you have to know God exists, that God is. And there's a song that we sing, God is, God is the source of my life, removes all pain, misery, and strife. He promised to keep me, never to leave me, never fall short of his word. There is a knowing versus believing. Because your belief can change when information changes. You get different information, yeah, you'll change your mind. But you have to know without a shadow of a doubt that there's a supreme being that is governing your life. With that knowing, you function a little bit different. That knowing, it's not believing. And one day I was talking to African shaman, and we were talking about the slave trade. And when black people were slaves, how did they endure? They didn't endure because they believed it would get better. Now, a whip can make you unbelieve something. Abuse can make you unbelieve something. but when it's innate, it's built in you, a knowing. They had a knowing that there will be a generation that will come after them that will right all these wrongs. They will fight on behalf of who God called them to be. They had a knowing. That's how you survive. I need to survive until I can produce people. We can produce that generation. And so slaves had more spiritual grounding than we do today. Because of the abuse, they had to knowingly move forward in God. Powerful people. Whether you accept it or not. When, oh, that wouldn't be me. Get a whip cracked. And then see how you feel that next day. I got to live for tomorrow. Why? Because there's going to be something that comes out of me that I need that will change the life of my people to come. So knowing, you can't shake it. Belief changes. David had a knowing in God. That's why when he said something bigger than him, it means nothing to me. Why? Because I know God is with me. I know God exists. I know that I'm a part of God's army. I know. Why? Because I lived it daily. And you ain't taking it from me. The next one that we have to get to is, other than that knowing, is seeing God in all things. Step 2. 1, you got to know that God is. 2, you have to see God in all things. They don't want you, a lot of times when they're teaching you Christianity under a false doctrine, they don't want you to see God in everything. They want you to see God off and away somewhere. Why? Because it keeps you as a slave. But when you see God in all things, like David, you become fearless. Seeing God in all things, his chores, you'll be able to just look at your situation and your circumstance and see how God works in it on your behalf. In the story of David, the lion took the sheep and ran away. David chased the lion. He had to go get it out the mouth of the beast and bring it back. Why? Because he's a good shepherd. That's important. You have to know. There's a scripture where it says, in him we live, move, and have our total being in God. What? You got to see God in everything. That means we live, move, and have our total being. There is relationship, no separation from us and the Creator. There is not a thing that does not exist in the world that is not made out of the substance of God. Like, what? We talk about this so many times, and we're gonna build on it. A lot of times we sit down and when we talk about this, quantum physics explained, see the light, that symbol right there, that's an atom, right? An atom, we said it 3 levels. And again, I'm telling you, tons of vitamins in this one. You're gonna be the vitamin. You just don't want a vitamin. You're gonna be the vitamin. Boom. An atom, 3 levels: liquid, solid, gas. An atom is found in all forms of life. And in that atom, what makes that atom a liquid, a solid, or a gas? We say it's the movement of the atom, that energy that vibrates the atom. Everything in life functions from a vibration. So it's 6. They don't know where that energy comes from. That energy has no beginning and has no end, and is in everything that we come in contact with. Substance of God. Now, what they also found out through inquiry, this is why they don't want you to understand science, because it will disprove what you believe about God and get you to understand what you should know about God. 2 different things. Oh, science and religion. What? You better stop being stuck on stupid and realize science, God is God's language. Science is God's language to help us understand the world in which he created for us. that's coming. And when you look at quantum physics, you'll realize that the world has an energy field that permeates the entire universe, has no beginning and no end, and every point touches a point that touches a point that touches a point. It's a grid of existence, and they can't define it. For us in my church, we say God is. Let me do this so you can see it. In my church, we say that God is cosmic energy and creative intelligence. And there was a conversation where Jeramogi, our founder, Baby Ajamin, was telling the church, we're going to change the concept of God for black people because they need to know how God is so vast. And they were like, wow, that's going to be a hard pill for them to swallow, that God is cosmic energy and creative intelligence, not some man, some being, some entity separate from them, because that's not what they've been taught. Right. It's what you believe. God is separate. God ain't separate. God is everywhere. God is everywhere. There's no space that you can touch that is void of God, because God has no form. He is everywhere. It is everywhere because God has no gender. Mm. We say mother, father God because of the characteristics that the creator has, the most high. You can be mothered by God and you can be fathered by God. That's right. Shrines of the Black Madonna. Pan-African Orthodox Christian Church. We believe God is cosmic energy and creative intelligence, and it permeates the entire universe. There is no space void of God. You got to know how God exists. And so that's clear, which was what? Number 2, right? Let me get back to it. See God in all things. Anything that has an atom in it is an expression of God. Even if you take something and mold something into something, that's still an expression of God. Because you took the energy of God and you made it into something different, a shape, form, whatever it is, solid, liquid, whatever it was. It's still an expression of God. All chemicals have atoms. Atoms move with the vibration. That vibrational energy is from God. It's an expression of God. So all things is God. God has an atom in it. Yes. The atom is moving. Yes. Ink. Ink has atoms in it. Yes. And it's moving. Yes. That energy is in everything. What else would I have? Bracelet. Hard. The faster they move, the harder the mass. God. I don't have any smoke. Incense. You burn incense and that smoke comes up. That smoke has atoms in it. God. African spirituality never saw the universe or the world separate from the God experience. That's why we have African names that reflect divine beginnings. Ajay, messenger from God. Akono, it is my turn. Tahimba Tulanagawe, stand with God because God is with us. It always, your name, you were born on Tuesday. If your name, why? Because God created that day for you. All things. See all things in God. You want to experience God daily? Everything you see, a rock. They said the rocks will cry out. Why? Because rocks got the power of God in it. Vibration. Everything is God. God expresses itself. It's God experiencing itself. I'm an expression of God. The greater spiritual consciousness. You are too. That's why you don't only fight for civil rights, you fight for human rights. Why? Because every human has the right to have a decent and beautiful life. Why? Because we are all expressions of the God that is known by many names, but it's still only one God. That energy is only one source. Ain't multiple different sources coming from. No, it's one God. Cosmic energy, creative intelligence. The third one is the third step, You have to understand that you are God's design. You have to understand that you are God's design. And you said, say that again, Jay. Yes. Without understanding that you are God's design, it's going to be hard for you to experience God on a daily basis. You got to see that. That's why David was so confident. I'm an expression of God. I'm a soldier in the army of God. I've been doing God's work every time I do my chores because it's my existence in God. How do we know? It is let me get it right. There is a scripture that says, we live, we move, we have our total being in God. We live, and that's wait. Oh, live, move, have our total being in God is the expression for, is the scripture for the previous, right? But this one is number 3. Then God said, let me make sure, is that number 3? I can get it right. All these graphics floating all over the place. Yeah, this one is the seeing yourself in God, right? Number 3. Scroll down. Get it right. Y'all forgive me. Sometimes things flow, sometimes things don't. But either way, we go with it. Seeing God in all things and understanding that you are God's design. There we go. And understanding that you are God's design is written. Then God said, let us make man. Man means mankind. Nothing else. Not, I'm only going to make a male and then I'm going to make a female later. I'm going to disprove all of that right now with scripture. The creation of man, the creation of mankind, not man uh, 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 as a gender, but mankind as a species. Let us make man in our image. What image? The image of spiritual beings. Because first God created spirit beings, a smaller consciousnesses of God. God is a larger consciousness. I am the smaller consciousness. And we are all small consciousnesses of God. And when we encounter each other, it's God encountering God. Let us make man in our own image according to our likeness, spiritual beings. So God created man, mankind, in his own image. In the image of God, he created him male and female. He created them. There are two creation stories. I always go with this one. Why? Because it shows that he created man and woman at the same time. You're like, what? Man, you living in a male-dominated world. They might have added that first scripture in there so that men can take responsibility over the world. He created. That's why the woman king is so popular now. When you look at the phrase and he's talking about how there has not been a woman king in centuries, but she has proven herself as spiritually responsible for our people as any man. And she will get the honor of being the woman king. What? He created us simultaneously with the same responsibility of spiritually moving our community forward. But you have to, I say this in terms of you got to know who you are in the creator. And we talk about that all the time. And it was new. And we're gonna get back to it because I never got the chance to finish it. That we are the steam with God's steam. We're God's science. We're God's technology. We're God's engineering. We're God's artwork. We're God's mathematics. Everything about us is out of God. Everything. It's beautiful. Everything about us is so that this body can hold the spirit that God creates. And we can encounter each other. We can have experiences that helps us understand the creator, the God that made us. We are literally the most sophisticated, the most sophisticated piece of equipment on the face of the planet. You got to understand that you are God's design. Even in your faults, God made you perfectly you. You are his science, his technology, his engineering, his artwork, and his mathematics. Step 3. 1, know that God is. 2, see God in all things. 3, understanding that you are God's design. What? Yeah. There is nothing about you that does not say that I'm not. Even the world in which we were created in, the world is made in perfect mathematical symmetry for you to exist. And we talk about the periodic table, and if you change one of those periodic table numbers, and I should have had a picture of the periodic table, you change one of those numbers, the universe falls apart. It doesn't exist anymore because it can't. Everything is created in perfect mathematical genius, cosmic energy, creative intelligence. Can't beat it. And God created you. The body you in was created for the world that's around you. So you are perfect. So when you wake up and you want to get to know God, look in the mirror. Understand my eyes, my nose, my mouth, my ears, and even if some of these don't work, you're still perfectly you. Some kids may come with defects, you're still perfectly you. It does not make you less of a design. No, you're still divinely created. This is why when we talk about, when we're dealing with pregnancy and women having babies and they're eating the right things. Why? Because you want to make sure that you don't affect God's design of the being that is being created within you. You got to understand that you are. How's that feel for you? How does that make you feel when you sit down and say, you know what, even through my ups and downs, my ins and outs, God designed me to be me for the experiences that I'm in. David said, I may not be bigger than Goliath. God didn't make me bigger than the Goliath. Does that mean God made Goliath better than me? No. Goliath don't even believe in the God that I believe in. So does that make him better than me? No. When you read the Bible and they say God, Goliath, and talk about his God, it's small g. But when David talks about his God, it's capital. Why? Because it's only one God, and we're not doing no paganism where we're worshiping different pieces. No. Cosmic energy. You can't see my God. I ain't got no pictures of my God. Why? Because my God his physical existence is the world in which we live in. We live, move, and have our total being in God. God is in all things. Let's get it. And so that is deeply important. We are the most sophisticated piece of equipment on earth. The black man, the black woman. Why? Why the black man? Why than anybody? Because it's in our DNA. Scientists are studying black DNA because black DNA has more information in it than any other DNA on the planet. Tons and tons and tons of data of different human beings, talents, makeups. And then not only that, it's the source code. There's a code that we have that if I pull a hair out my face, my body automatically knows you need to grow another hair right there. It's information built in us. You want to experience God every day, understand that you are God's design. And as you walk, you're experiencing the God in you and the God outside of you when you encounter other people. There is no separation from you and God. Our whole world permeates the God experience. We have dominion over certain things. So in that dominion, people can choose to be either connected to God in their consciousness or be disconnected in their consciousness and do bad things. People doing bad things, that's not God doing things against you. No, that's somebody making a decision to do something against you because they don't choose not to see themselves in God and see the God in you. We're the only creature that has the choice to be whatever we choose. No other creature, every other creature has to be what God created. We, yeah, we can choose not to be African. A red ant can't choose to be a black ant. It just can't. You know what? I'm going to go hang out with this species of ant. It just doesn't happen. It can't happen. Because why? They just won't do it. Why? Because I'm going to exist in the space in which I exist in. They know their makeup, and they are told this is what you do, and that's it. We were created in the image of God, makes us co-creators. And so our imagination, an elephant can imagine himself to fly. That's the story of Dumbo. That's not real. It's entertaining, but it's not real. We imagined to fly, and then God gave us the intelligence to create airplanes. Let's get it. That's within us, co-creators. And the last but not least, step 4, notice and be grateful for all things small. You're like, what? Yes, notice and be grateful for all things small. Now, this particular one here, in terms of the graphics, I don't know what your eye sees. I don't know what your eyes see or your eye sees. But whenever you see it, see the smallest of that and connect it to God. And the best way to do that is actually go in nature and look at the smallest things and notice and be grateful. Say, be thankful for the smallest of things. Right now, we're going through, I was in, I drove all across the country. And as I went across the country, the temperature was different in every state. It just fluctuates, right? And so my awareness of the seasons amplified. Man, that Nebraska is a beast when it comes to seasons. All it was hot. Nothing else but hot. And that sun was coming through the car and it was melting my brain. I had to get some shade and some water fast after driving in it for hours. But look at the smallest things. Look at the seasons and how each season is different and it manifests a different stage of vegetational life. And now you have an animal that will exist in every season, will thrive in each separate season. Look at the smallest things. You'll see the intelligence of God and you'll see God all the way around you. Winter, spring, summer, fall, or I think this is spring, summer, spring, fall, winter. Look at the same tree go through the different stages of life. You notice that in God? Pick up the smaller things and be grateful for them. Why? Because without this, we can't understand much of nothing. Some of us have different connections to different seasons. My favorite season is the fall. Now, I can rock with winter, but my favorite season has always been the fall. I like dressing up in layers. I can't beat the heat, though. The heat be getting me. Also, if you want to look at, again, I don't know what your eyes see, and I don't know what your eyes see, which is the mind's eye. When you're seeing certain things, so you can choose, take a look at animal kingdoms. You want to experience God in a great way, and then just small things. Take notice of the small things. Each animal has its own ecosystem in which he lives, and he prospers and he grows. God made every animal. There's not an animal on this earth that it was not created by the mind of God, and there's not a life experience that God did not give in each animal. Each animal has its own level of existence, and we have dominion over those animals. We have dominions over those trees that I just showed. We do. We are the higher being on this earth. But acknowledge God in the smallest of things. Go look at the ants and see how the ants work. I used to stare at ants when I was little. Take a leaf off a tree. Go do botany and pick a leaf and watch how There's no leaf that looks alike. Acknowledge God in all things small. Then you can see him in larger situations. Because when you get detailed in the understanding that God exists, when things in your life start changing, you'll be able to notice the changes and you'll be able to sit down and notice that God is in it. God is in that change. Now, you can't always be the same in each season. And so God is asking you to change in that season. So what do you have to learn so that you can get your lesson, so that you're in a different ecosystem? Man is the only thing that go different ecosystem. You know what I mean? You're not going to find a polar bear in Africa. It doesn't live. Man is the only beast that can live in every ecosystem. Well, we haven't learned completely how to live underwater, but we learned how to build submarines. Ain't that something? You can come up, sit on the water, throw it down, go fishing, get some food, put the cup in, dive back down. Navy can spend, man, months, year on water without coming back to land. Ain't that something? People go on these cruise ships and they be up in there for weeks. Why? Food. Food is, you on top of your food. So every ecosystems. So we've learned how to live in different ecosystems according to what we can create. But nature changes. And you got to see, if you can see God in the smallest of things when you're going through your season, whether it be your fall, winter, spring, summer season, God's in all of it. One of the things that I always like to do to see God in small things is the cycle of water. You know, water doesn't disappear. Just doesn't. Now, we might lose fresh water because we pollute the earth. And pollutants will kill fresh water. But that doesn't mean we don't have no water. That means we just can't drink the water that we have. We got to be careful. That's why I said everything is relationship. But in the cycle of water, realize it's just you see it. And it doesn't change. It doesn't change. And it goes through that cycle where it's condensation. It goes up. It goes through the different processes. It rains, it comes down, it can come down as snow, it could melt, turn into a river. That river can go into the land, it can go into the tree, and if a tree absorbs too much, then it comes out of the tree back into the sun, and it goes back up in the air, and then it goes back around. Or it can come down to the ground and it can go underground and it rolls into a lake, river, or ocean, and it goes back up in the air. It's a cycle. Water never disappears. And I'm sitting there like, wow, okay. Even when you're boiling it and you boil water, and after a while it's not in the pot if it's still on, but if you see it, you see that steam coming up, and then you can see the condensation on something that it hits, where it turns, that steam hits something, it cools down and turns back to water and it drips or it evaporates. But that doesn't mean it's not there. That means it's, and it goes up in the air. Why? Up to the clouds, and then it comes back down again. Water never disappears. I said, wow, that's the intelligence of God. And I'm grateful for this system of God. Deeply grateful. And anytime I drink water, I pray on my water. I make my water holy. Why? Because I can't live without it. And it has its purpose in my life to keep me healthy. So I pray on it. And if you pray on water, it's scientifically proven that the molecules change. I can do a whole sermon on water, and it's significant to God, and it's significant to being. When you're doing ancestral work, you can't just, and you touch water as a conduit to speak to your ancestors. It has to be drinking water. It has to be the freshest water, because you don't want to use something conduit and it's polluted. You got to be able to drink it. Put your hand in it, you talk into it. It's a vibrational field. Why? Because it hits, water is everywhere. Dissipates. It's just a conduit. You know how electricity, water carries energy. It's just one of the most powerful elements on the face of the planet. So when I see water, I see God. And I acknowledge it, and I'm grateful for it. You try not to waste. They say not to waste it. They say that when water comes out of the tap, it's dead in energy. So what I always do, I pray over the pipes in my house. People are like, man, I'm like, what? You just pray over the pipes. Speak the power. We have dominion over everything. So as it comes in, and you got to drink tap water, pray over it as it comes out. Pray over it. This is water has memory. Man, I can do a whole class on this, but we're not today. I'm gonna choose one day where I actually go completely into this thing. But you got to find it. When you literally, let's do this. Know God without a shadow of a doubt. See God in all things. God said, I am that. I am. I am that right there. The Moses code. I am everything. So be careful when you say I am. Why? Because God is everything. If you want to say I am tired, then he's going to make you tired, even more tired. I am angry, he's going to make you even more angry. I am blessed and highly favored. He's going to make you blessed and highly favored. See God in all things. And when you see God in all things, understand that you are also God's design. See God in yourself. See God in others. You want to see God daily. Experience God daily. Step 4, notice and be grateful for all the small things. Because when you see God in all things, you just thank you, God. I remember one day I was thanking God for a quarter to wash my clothes. Because it was a time where I was going through my winter season, which is a drought, and I couldn't afford to wash I got a lot of clothes. And so I can go maybe a month and a half, 2 months without washing. I mean, I stacked up after, and phase of my time not being homeless. Real talk. And so I sat down and said, I ain't never gonna be without a clean underclothes. So anytime I got money, I'm buying tons and tons of underclothes because I'm never gonna wear. This might be a little dusty, but what's under this is always gonna be clean. And I remember I was in the laundromat and I was looked at 25 cents. That's how hard it was for me. And I was in tears because I had 25 cents to wash my clothes. Well, a series of quarters. And I cried, and every time I put it in the machine, I was thanking God for the 25 cents. I thank God for the detergent. I thank God for the channel of the hot water. I thank God for the machine. Notice and be grateful for all things, because all things are due to God. And in that space where you go through those 4 steps, when you're going through all those 4 steps, you will get to the experience where you develop your talents, your characteristics, everything about you, your value system. When you're walking in life as though that you are the shepherd of you, and God is the shepherd of you, you're the shepherd of others. You're a sheep to be led. When you're surrendering to God completely, you will find everything in you, your character, your value system, everything about you. You will find your voice, your purpose, your cause, the reason why you're here. You'll make it plain. And you'll start being able to see in the small things, you'll be able to see everything about you that you need to know. The scripture says, I knew you before I formed you in the womb. I consecrated you before you came out of the womb, before at your birth. So you didn't come in here in the world. The world might have been in sin, but you came in connected, blessed, and highly favored. Because I said, I knew you. I had a conversation with you. I talked with your spirit. I gave you flesh, made you in my image and said, go be great. And now God inside you and God outside you, God incarnate and God external are having those experiences. So when you go through those 4 steps, the last thing that you'll experience is being fearless in God. And with that being said, you would know God's got you, just like David. And all you got to do is go give life your best shot, just like David. And so I'm saying to you, go now and give life your best shot. One love. Yeah, we was a little bit over today, but it happens. And so with that being said, we'll start our day, our journey, our experience. Hey, Stephanie, how you doing? Hey, Mo, what's going on with you? With being your best self in God. And all those who know, it says not all those who believe, we're not going to say that. All those who know that God is, we say amen and ashe. Again, go and give life your best. God's got you.